I am at the New Montefort Cemetery. We're going to be speaking about Mr. Electricity, Herb Abrams. If you're familiar with wrestling, he was Vince McMahon's competition for about 6 years, or at least he thought he was, in the UWF. He definitely had a lot of stars. If you're not familiar with him, you probably might be familiar with the way he died. He was on TV, Dark Side of the Ring, highest episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and it was titled "Cocaine and Cowboy Boots." Herb Abrams was a wrestling fan. He kind of wanted to be a challenge or competition to Vince McMahon. He grew up here in Queens, New York. His father was a contract salesman of women's dresses who employed 42 workers at his office back in 1949. So, in 1976 here, kind of his first exposure or his first foot in the door for Mr. Abrams, he approached photographer Bill Apter while he was shooting superstar Billy Graham on the streets of New York. And there is the grave of Mr. Abrams, real name Herbert Charles Abrams.
We deal, we cope, we go on.
So he's seen Billy Graham on the streets of New York, and he told Bill Apter to spread the word that any wrestlers who made an appearance at his father's clothing store in Flushing, Queens, would be allowed to take dresses for their wives as compensation. Abrams eventually moved to Los Angeles, and he started his first business, Network 9. He later started a chain of plus-size clothing stores for women called I'm a Big Girl Now. So he knew how to run businesses. Maybe and you need money and you need some wits, so you got to give credit where credit is due. Abrams founded Universal Wrestling Federation, the UWF, in 1990. He received $1 million from Sports Channel America to produce a weekly television program. It was called UWF Fury Hour. Now, in August of 1990, he did a press conference. He announced that the UWF was launching an unknown. Where did Mr. Abrams come from? How did he get this money from a major TV station? Nonetheless, at his launch, he was asked how he expected to succeed in wrestling business with no prior experience in it. Abrams responded, "What they're looking for I have, and that's the Hollywood glitz." Abrams ran his first television tapings in Rosita, California. However, that fall, the venue's owners would later sue Abrams. The owners of that venue would sue Abrams for money owed. And eventually, he gained a reputation for chronically failing to pay venue owners and even his own wrestlers. So somehow, he got this company, lifelong wrestling fan, didn't know how to run it. It's like, I guess the best analogy we could kind of put together is, just getting your license and getting a Mercedes-Benz as your first car, not having any experience whatsoever. He was UWF's head booker.
It says we deal with
I mean, your company, you might as well run it the way you see fit, right? He was criticized for inconsistent storyline, matches that lacked clean-cut finishes. And for the first 11 episodes of Fury Hour, he was on-screen commentator along Bruno Sammartino. So he flashed the money, promised money, and that, with that being said, you were able to get, big superstars on, what was a lot of promises. And for what it's worth, the readers of Wrestling Observer newsletter voted him the worst television announcer of 1990. Prior to earning that dubious distinction, Abrams had used a jobber on Fury Hour named Davey Meltzer, a obvious jab at Dave Meltzer. And Abrams replaced himself on commentary when the fire was a little bit too hot by individual by name of Greg DeGeorge. But he stayed as an on-screen as an interviewer. So the UWF Sports Channel America deal expired kind of without extension in September of 1991. And after that, where it went from regular schedules to sporadic. The money was running dry. Problems, money that was coming in was not being, obviously used where the money needed to be used, and the lifestyle fell into that lifestyle where it's a lot of drug addiction, unfortunately, and it just kind of snowballed for Mr. Abrams. But, the UWF, let's not kid yourselves, had they been able to, maybe if he was Mr. Abrams, if he was able to kind of align himself, with better, wrestling minds, or just simply not be so reckless, he would have been, successful in an alternative to Vince McMahon's promotion. Give him a competition. Hey, listen, he was doing this on a national level. He had guys at one point, Billy Jack Hayes, Bob Orton, Brian Blair, Cactus Jack, Dan Spivey, David Sammartino, Don Morocco, Paul Orndorff, Ken Patera, a lot of names in that federation. They were all there. The promotion had a taping back in January of 91, beginning there, right? And that kind of plagued them with legal issues, which was part of their problem as well. The World Wrestling Federation, WWF, WWE, they sent the cease and desist orders to UWF after Honky Tonk Man and Rick Rude appeared on camera. Oops. Both had recently walked out of the WWF, but were still on the contract to the company. Honky Tonk Man later on in those years, he would explain that the check he received from Abrams for the first taping bounced, and he filed a formal complaint with the New York State Athletic Commission to get reimbursed. And, all this was still happening. Checks were bouncing, a lot of promises, a lot of big-name talent, and, the charade kept on going and going, and, he even tried to expand into the Florida market as well, kind of run shows there. But pay-per-views were... The pay-per-views was a disaster in both attendance and pay-per-view wise in that market out there in Florida. So that didn't work as well. So he was in the game for a little bit, but it just... everything kind of caught up with him, and, he had a problem as well that he was not able to get clean from. Apparently, Now, apparently, what had happened in 1996, he was in St. Vincent's Hospital in Manhattan, died of a heart attack while he was in police custody. Before his death, they had found Abrams in his Manhattan office there, just nude, covered in baby oil, destroying furniture with a baseball bat. His autopsy showed that he had cocaine and Valium in his system when he died. Abrams' ex-girlfriend said that during the last few years of his life, he had experienced paranoia while high on cocaine. Allegedly, Abrams owed various people money and insisted on destroying furniture to find non-existent bugging devices. And he had believed that, that those bugging devices were secretly recording him, which they weren't. Just a real sad story.
It says, we deal,
about,
we cope, we go on.
Just how life is unexpected and how life has many twists and turns. And it's unfortunately, he was not able to get the help that he needed. And you kind of wonder, I'm not sure if he had many yes men, but when everything is gravy, or at least it seems it's gravy, and money is pouring in, and then money, as it comes quickly, it disappears. It's just a tragic situation. He died at a really young age, and we wish him all the best and his family all the best.